Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and this video is about finding out the timing of your marriage. So pull up your charts and we will dive straight into it. So I'm going to take you all through a step-by-step procedure on how do we check the timing of our marriage, and we will try to check it with an example. We will look at Shahrukh Khan's chart and see how the timing of marriage worked out for Shahrukh Khan. All right. Also, I have made a couple of videos on long-lasting relationships and marriage. So I'm going to add the time cards here so that you can see if your charts or your kundalis support a long-lasting relationships relationship or not. Okay. So first thing we will look at is the Tithi Lord. If you don't know how to find out the Tithi Lord, it's very simple. You need to get an app from the Play Store or Apple Store, whatever versions of phones you use, or you can use something online and look at finding out your Tithi Lord. You just need to put in your date of birth and you'll be able to find out which is your Tithi Lord. And if your Tithi Lord is, for example, Ashtami, right, which is the 8th day of the moon, which means Rahu is the Lord of your Tithi, all right. If it's Navami, which is the 9th day of the moon, all right, that means your Tithi Lord is the Sun. Okay, so it will give you the exact time. Okay, if you're born at 5 p.m. and on that particular day, the Tithi Lord, the Tithi starts at 6 p.m. So that means you will check the previous day's Tithi and find out which day of the moon you were exactly born in. Okay. So find out your Tithi Lord, very, very important. So your Tithi Lord needs to be very strong, firstly, for a long term relationship. So I have made the videos that I have already mentioned. So check that out. But this one is going to give you the timing. So the most important, whenever we talk about timing, something called Mahadasha and Pratyantar Dasha becomes very, very important. Antardasha and Pratyantardasha become very, very important. So these are nothing but the time periods. So if you know what it is, it's great. Otherwise, you will find out what they are. It's very, very easy. What are Mahadashas? So firstly, for a woman, the most important Mahadasha that you will check for is Jupiter Mahadasha, because Jupiter is the Karaka of a husband in a woman's chart. You will also look at the Lord, the 7th Lord. Okay, for example, if you're a Sagittarius Ascendant, your 7th Lord is Mercury. All right. So you will check out for Mercury Mahadasha or Antardasha, which means if you're going through Saturn Mahadasha, you will look at Mercury Antardasha. All right. And you can even go dig deeper and you can find out about Pratyantardasha. Okay. You can even go down to the day. Okay. You can go down to Sukshma Dasha and Prana Dasha as well. All right. So the 7th house Lord is very, very important because 7th house is your spouse. Okay. So it's very simple procedure to check the timing of your marriage. No matter which Mahadasha you're going through, you will check for the Antardasha of the 7th Lord. If you're a woman, you will check for Jupiter's Mahadasha, Jupiter's Antardasha, Jupiter's Pratyantardasha, Sukshma Dasha. If you're a man, you will check for Venus, because Venus is the Karaka of the spouse for a man. Okay. So 7th Lord, not just the 7th Lord, if there is any other planet in the 7th house. Okay. For example, if there is Rahu in the 7th house, you will look at the Dasha of Rahu as well. Okay. Any other planet. If there are 2 planets, then there could be more timings of marriage. Okay. So any planet sitting in your 7th house or even aspecting your 7th house becomes very, very important. Okay. Now, this gives us a very wide range. Now, what if you have like 6 planets or 5 planets sitting in your 7th house, right? Which means there is time of marriage all the time, right? Maybe it is. So we will look at other aspects as well. We will also look at the 5th Lord. Why? Because 5th is the house of creation. Children are seen from how do you have children? You need to find a partner and then have children. All right. Romance is also seen from the 5th house. All right. It is 11th from the 7th house. So the gains from marriage are seen from the 5th house. Okay. So your spouse's 11th house is your 5th house. Right. So we will also look at the lord of the fifth house or any planet that is sitting in the fifth house. So step by step, first we will look at the Tithi Lord. If your Tithi Lord and your seventh house Lord is the same, it's great. If you're running through the Mahadasha or you're running through the Antardasha, Pratyantar Dasha, there are very, very high chances that you will consider marriage or a long-term relationship. Now, the difference between long-term relationship and marriage is very, very simple. A 12th house planet has to be involved in a marriage, because a 12th house planet is nothing but a priest, which means Jupiter is the natural 12th house planet because it is the Lord of Pisces, isn't it? So the difference between a 20-year-old long-term relationship and a 20-year-old long-term marriage is because there has been a priest involved in getting these two people married. All right. And for a priest to be involved, we need to see the involvement of a 12th house planet. Now, when I say a 12th house planet, which means if you are a Virgo ascendant, which means your sun becomes the 6th house planet, right? Because Leo has the lordship of the 12th house. If you're an Aries ascendant, obviously Jupiter is the significator of the 12th house. If you're a Taurus ascendant, Mars becomes your 12th house planet. Or if any other planet is sitting in the 12th house, if Ketu is sitting in the 12th house, then Ketu becomes the significator of the 12th house planet, and Ketu will have a role to play in marriage. So this is how we figure out the difference between a long-term relationship and marriage. So you must be wondering, I've had 5 relationships, all right, and no marriage. Maybe there was no 12th house planet involved. Okay. And maybe you're wondering, I've had 3 relationships, and out of that only one was marriage, but the other 2 relationships were also long-term relationships. So now you look at your charts and you figure it out that in the one that was a marriage where the priest was involved, was a 12th house planet involved or not? And you'll find out that in a very interesting way, either Jupiter or a 12th house planet was definitely involved in the marriage wherever there is a priest. You can be of any religion. You can be Christian. You can be of any religion. All right. Because if in every religion, for a marriage, you need a priest, and a priest is seen from the 12th house, or it is Jupiter. Okay. So which is why Jupiter becomes very, very important for marriage, not just for women, but even for men. Because the difference in today's world, a lot of my Western audience, in some of the countries, they don't really pay so much attention to marriage. People have children and a full life without getting married to each other. And you will notice that a 12th house, if you've had 3 children and you're married, and you're living together, sorry, you're not married. You're a couple, but you're not married, but you have children, 3-4 children, and you're together for 20 years, living in the same house, doing everything together, but you're not married. You've not done the ceremony. You will see the 12th house planet is not involved. All right. So, coming back to looking at more planetary combinations where we see marriage. Now, another very important thing is transit. Very, very important. This is also called Gochar, which means we will look at the transit of the 3 major planets, which are the slow movers. One is Saturn, the slowest mover. Then there is Rahu Ketu. And then there is Jupiter. Now, if these are your Tithi lords, or they are lords of your 7th house or your 5th house, okay? And they are transiting over your Lagna, which is your 1st house, or they are transiting over your 7th house, or they are transiting over your 5th house. They create circumstances of marriage and long-term relationship. Okay? So check that out. If you're already married, you can go and look at the transits, and it will all make sense. When the marriage happened, look into the dashas, the Pratyanta dasha, Sukshma dasha, and you will see the involvement of all the things that I'm telling you. Okay. Another very interesting, look at your D9. Okay. So for example, if you are a Virgo ascendant and your D9 first house is Capricorn, in your D9 you're a Capricorn ascendant, and you run through your Saturn Mahadasha, or Saturn is transiting over your 7th house or your first house, again it creates that 2.5 year transit period. It creates an event of your marriage, especially if you're going through Saturn Mahadasha. Then we will also look at Tithi Lord. If the Tithi Lord is also supporting, then again the transits of the Tithi Lord and how the Tithi Lord is affecting you will add up and give you situations of getting married. Now we will talk about the Rahu and Ketu. Very, very interesting. Rahu and Ketu cause a lot of marriages in today's world, I've seen. All right. Now, why does it happen? Okay. Especially if you're running through Ketu Mahadasha and Rahu Antardasha. And if you're running Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu Antardasha. Why? Because they're one, they're 1 and 7 from each other. They're always 180 degrees apart. Right. So, look at the position of your Rahu Ketu, okay? And if you see that your Rahu and Ketu are conjunct, or they are sitting in the same sign as your Tithi Lord, or they have something to do with Jupiter, if they are aspecting Jupiter or Jupiter is aspecting them, or they are sitting in Pisces, very, very high chances you will get married between Rahu Ketu Dasha. You have to look at the transits. Suppose if you're Pisces ascendant and Rahu is transiting on Pisces, which is happening right now, okay, and you're going through the Rahu Mahadasha and you're going through Ketu Antardasha, you might be considering marriage right now. Okay, well, Rahu is transiting in Pisces right now. So if you're a Pisces ascendant and if you're listening and you're going through Rahu Mahadasha and you're coming near Ketu Antardasha, you must be very careful. What happens is during this time, people really quickly get married. During Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu, they don't really take a lot of time. They meet the person, oh great, we get along. In about 10 days, they say, okay, let's just get married. Let's quickly get married. All this thing that you see, especially the American audience, will go to Vegas and get married. And then next morning you get up and you realize, oh my God, we are married. Okay. So this usually happens in Rahu, Ketu and Ketu, Rahu, Mahadasha and Antardasha, and people take decisions very, very quickly. All right. So now the last thing. The last thing we will look at is we will look at the Dharakaraka. Dharakaraka is nothing but the lowest degree in your, so look at your planets and your degrees. The planet that is holding the lowest degree in your charts. All right. So if Jupiter is the lowest degree holder, then there are very, very, very high chances whenever you run Jupiter Antardasha or Mahadasha, you will get married, because Jupiter itself is the significator of marriage. Same goes with Venus. If Venus is your Dharakaraka, very, very, it amplifies the chances of you getting married. Especially if Venus also becomes your 7th Lord or your 5th Lord or your Tithi Lord. Very high chances. It just amplifies the chances of you tying the knot and getting married. Okay, so look at the position of your Dharakaraka and see if you're running through any Mahadashas or Antardasha of your Dharakaraka, again creates situations for marriage. Okay, now let's look at the chart of Shahrukh Khan and see how these techniques that I told you, because his marriage was pretty early, even before he was really famous, he got married, and the marriage is, touch wood, is still going on well. So let's quickly look at his charts. So as we can see that Shahrukh Khan is a Leo ascendant, Rahu in the 10th house. No wonder he's in the right industry. Rahu is the film industry, and it's in this 10th house of career. Very, very nice. So we will look at his marriage happened somewhere in 1991. And if we look at his dashas, we'll first look at, when we're talking about timing, we'll first look at the dasha. So he was in Rahu. He was in Rahu and Mars Antardasha. Okay. Now we will look at what caused the wedding. Now we can see during that time Rahu was transiting in Sagittarius. Okay, I've pulled up a transit kundali for you here. And we can see Jupiter, the marriage causing planet, was transiting in his first house. Jupiter and Rahu, mutual aspect. What is his Tithi Lord? His Tithi Lord shows up to be the sun, Navami. But if we look into it in detail, it was not Navami, it was Ashtami, it was Rahu. He was born right before the Ashtami, the Navami hit. So Ashtami's Lord is Rahu, and Rahu was transiting in his 5th house, giving him giving a mutual aspect to Jupiter and Rahu from the 1st and the 5th and 9th aspect, and causing marriage happening during the Rahu period, right? If we go look into the details, we will see his Navamsha. Navamsha, the 7th lord of his Navamsha is Mars, and the marriage happened between Rahu Mahadasha and Mars Antardasha. Okay, lots of other things we can also see that his wife was from a completely different culture, different religion. So because of the Rahu and Jupiter mutual aspect, also Saturn is sitting in the 7th house. The 7th house lord is in the 7th house, so makes it a long-term strong marriage. Rahu is exalted, the Tithi lord is exalted in the 10th house, best possible position for the Tithi lord, gives it a long successful marriage. And after he got married, he became his Rahu Dasha got over, and then his Jupiter Dasha started, and he made most of the success, money, fame, all happened in the Jupiter Dasha. As we can see, his Jupiter is in the 11th house of masses, right? And Rahu, this is the film industry, Leo, entertainment. He's a Leo ascendant, right? And Rahu is smoke and the film industry. Jupiter is expansion in the 11th house of masses. Saturn in the 7th house in Aquarius. Very, very strong relationships, businesses. He was able to multiply his money and invest his money in businesses, and that is a very, very powerful position for Saturn in the 7th house in Aquarius. Especially Aquarius is again the significator of the world outside, right? So he's made his money with the people outside, the world outside, and his fans really like him because he's a great performer. All right. So this was my analysis. If you have any questions, if you want me to analyze more charts, please drop me a note on the comments or message me. I'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much. That's all I have for you today.